Did you know Fabio Cannavaro, the only defender who has won the FIFA World Player of the Year award, didn't start as a defender? He actually used to be a midfielder. However, his coach moved him to central defense long before he gained prominence. Cannavaro might have a reputation as the only defender to have won the FIFA World Player of the Year award, but that's not the only coveted individual award he has won. In 2006, the same year he won this award, he also won the Ballon d'Or, and is one of 3 defenders ever to have won it. The others are Franz Beckenbauer and Matthias Sammer. Although Fabio Cannavaro might not be considered by many to be one of the greatest footballers of all time, he definitely makes it into the league of the greatest defenders of all time. Early life. Born on the 13th of December in Naples, Italy, Cannavaro is famous as a former Italian international. He played as a centre-back and led the Italians to victory at the 2006 World Cup. His parents, Pasquale and Cavanzco Cannavaro, were a bank clerk and a maid respectively. His dad also played football, but didn't take it seriously. Well, this means football runs in his family. His brother also played professional football, and was once his teammate at Parma. International career. When one thinks of Fabio Cannavaro, the image that comes to mind is that of him lifting the World Cup in 2006. But he didn't get to that point in his career overnight. He started in the youth team. You see, long before Cannavaro gained international prominence, he was successful with the Italian under-21 side. Under the leadership of Cesare Maldini, he won 2 European under-21 championships. As beautiful as winning these championships was, winning them consecutively was even more beautiful. While in the youth team, Cannavaro and Nessa had a defensive partnership that continued when they got into the senior team. Cannavaro was part of the Italian team that took part in Atlanta '96. 1 year later, he made it to the senior team. His debut came on the 27th of January and was against Northern Ireland. That same year, he featured in a match between Italy and England and was able to keep Alan Shearer from having any real impact in the match. This perhaps didn't seem like a big deal to him, but English fans began rating him highly after that match. They considered him inexperienced and assumed he couldn't hold down Shearer, who, in the eyes of the English fans, was the best striker in the world. International tournaments. 1 year after showing the world how well he could man the defense, Cannavaro was at the World Cup. He played alongside established players like Paolo Maldini and upcoming players like Nessa. This squad, which had Paolo Maldini's father as coach, didn't go all the way. They were knocked out by France, who were the eventual winners of this tournament. After the 1998 World Cup, Cannavaro established himself as a regular in the heart of the Italian national team's defense. He went on to take part in the Euro 2 years later, and went all the way to the final. Again, his team lost to the eventual winners, France. By the 2002 World Cup, Cannavaro had grown to become a king in the Italian defense setup. Together with Nessa, he held the defense line down. However, he had to put in a lot more effort than necessary after Nessa got injured in a match against Croatia. Italy ended up leaving the 2002 World Cup after losing to South Korea. The exit of the Italians from the 2002 World Cup coincided with the retirement of Paolo Maldini. With this, Cannavaro took over as captain. He had already proven himself as a player, and with Maldini out of the team, he had to prove himself as a leader. He did not fail to do this. His performances on the pitch and calming influence helped the Azzurri qualify for the 2004 Euro, hosted in Portugal. Life as captain of the Italian national team. Cannavaro's first tournament as captain of the Italian national team was a major disappointment. His team didn't qualify for the group stage. They drew their first 2 games, and Cannavaro picked up 2 yellow cards in the process. With this, he missed their last group game. Although they won this game and had 5 points, they couldn't qualify for the next stage because of the goal difference. Although 2004 wasn't a good year for Cannavaro in the Italian national team, 2006 was a lot better, and was perhaps his best year as captain of the Italian national team. In 2006, Italy won the World Cup, and Cannavaro was very instrumental in this win. He played every single game, and every minute of each game. Interestingly, he was able to do this without getting any yellow cards throughout the tournament. Fabio Cannavaro had a stellar tournament in 2006. However, his biggest moment in this tournament was in the semi-final match against Germany. The Italians were already up by a goal to nothing. It was the last minute of extra time when Cannavaro outjumped a German player to clear a dangerous ball. He didn't stop at this. He went on to tackle Lucas Podolski, getting the ball in the process. He moved the ball up the pitch and passed it to Francesco Totti, who began the build-up that led to Italy's second goal. If Italy hadn't won the World Cup, Cannavaro's tackle of Podolski would have been his biggest moment in the 2006 World Cup. However, winning this tournament was clearly the highest point of his career. Although the best thing that happened to Cannavaro at the 2006 World Cup was winning this tournament, it wasn't the only good thing that happened to him. He made it to the team of the tournament and earned the nickname Wall of Berlin, life after the 2006 World Cup. As much as Cannavaro could have retired after the 2006 World Cup, he decided to continue with the Italian national team. He was supposed to play at Euro 2008, but this wasn't meant to be. You see, while training for the 2008 Euro, he got injured after a tackle. Initially, this didn't seem serious, but he couldn't continue in the game and had to be taken off in a stretcher. It was just the first training session of the tournament, and he could have gone on with the squad. However, after a series of tests, he was confirmed to have a torn ligament in his left ankle. This didn't seem like such a big deal. However, he couldn't go on with this tournament. Del Piero led the Italians in his place. Fabio Cannavaro couldn't take part in Euro 2008. However, he was fit to play in the 2009 Confederations Cup, hosted by South Africa. The last match of this tournament was against Brazil. Although Italy lost by 3 goals to nothing, he was able to equal Paolo Maldini's record as Italy's most capped player. He broke this record in a friendly match against Switzerland after earning his 127th cap for Italy. Not a lot of people expected Cannavaro to go to the 2010 World Cup, but he went anyway. Sadly, his performance at the 2010 World Cup in South Africa was nothing close to his performance at the 2006 World Cup. The 2010 Italian squad was coached by Marcello Lippi and also had some of the big stars that played a key role in the 2006 World Cup. However, this team did not live up to expectations and was strongly criticized by the press. Cannavaro, along with his Italian teammates, crashed out of the 2010 World Cup in the group stages. They lost 1 match and drew 2. After Italy failed to qualify from the group stages of the World Cup, Cannavaro knew there wasn't much to play for, so he retired after 136 caps and 2 goals. Club career. Cannavaro's club career started a fairly long time before his international career. Although it was easy to assume he started his career in Napoli, he briefly played with Bagnoli before he was picked up by scouts. After joining Napoli, Cannavaro did not go on to start playing football. He was first a ball boy, and the best he did at the time was watch some of the greats play. After a while in Napoli, Cannavaro made it to the youth team and played in the midfield before being moved to central defense. You see, one of the directors came to training and said, "Fabio, I prefer you as a defender," and that was it. Folks who know nothing about Cannavaro's history might be surprised by how successful he turned out to be. But if you followed his career from his days at Napoli, you wouldn't be surprised by how his career turned out. He had a reputation for being a hard tackler as a young player, and he once hit Argentine legend Diego Maradona with a rough tackle. Not many people know why he did this. But after he began training with the first team, he said, "I'm finally going to train with Maradona." With this statement, Fiara looked at him, smiled, and said, No, you don't just go and train with Maradona. You don't just go and tackle Maradona. The ball never leaves his feet." At the time, Maradona was the biggest player in Napoli, and his teammates and coaching staff were unhappy with this tackle. However, the Argentine legend didn't have a problem with this tackle. He even encouraged the player and gave him his boot as a souvenir. So feel free to like and share this video. Also, kindly subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Cannavaro did not spend a long time playing in the youth team before becoming a regular with the Napoli squad. He grew very fast and was able to play alongside some of the people he looked up to. Cannavaro made his Serie A debut in 1993 in an away match against the Old Ladies. His team lost the match. However, it was the beginning of big things to come. As a member of the Napoli first team, he partnered with Ferrara and soon became known for his tackling, passing, and build-up. The move from Napoli. Although Cannavaro had a great start to life in Napoli, he couldn't continue with this club after the departure of Maradona. You see, with the exit of the Argentine legend, Napoli needed funds, and one way they could do this was by letting some players go. Sadly, Cannavaro was one of those players. After making 60 appearances at Napoli and scoring a goal in 1995, Fabio Cannavaro joined Parma. At Parma, he became an instant hit and scored 1 goal in 29 outings in the league. Cannavaro won several trophies at Parma. Additionally, he played alongside some great players, like Lilian Thuram and Buffon. He also won some personal accolades, and went on to build a very strong bond with Thuram and Buffon. Although Cannavaro was very successful at the domestic level, he won just 1 European trophy, and that trophy was the UEFA Cup. He won this cup in his 4th season alongside the Coppa Italia. Cannavaro played 250 games for Parma and scored 5 goals. He had already achieved a lot with Parma and was interested in some fresh challenges, so he opted to join Inter Milan. In the summer of 2002, Fabio Cannavaro put pen to paper for Inter Milan. He signed a 5-year deal and was bought for about 23 million euros. Parma was facing some financial difficulties and couldn't afford to keep Cannavaro, so he opted to go where he was needed. Inter Milan had fought for the Serie A title, which they lost to Juventus, so they were looking to rebuild their squad, and apparently Cannavaro was a major part of this process. Just like his debut season with Parma, Cannavaro had a great first season with Inter Milan. They got to the semi-finals of the Champions League and came in second at the Serie A. He had a great first season. Unfortunately, his second season was not so good. He got injured and couldn't take part in several matches. Being injured and missing games was already a major challenge for Cannavaro, but it wasn't his only challenge. He had to play out of position a couple of times, and this made him a lot less effective. Fabio Cannavaro did not stay at Milan until the end of his contract. He only spent 2 years at Inter before moving to Juventus. Joining the Old Ladies. Leaving Inter for Juventus was perhaps never part of the plan. However, it wasn't a bad move, and he was able to reconnect with Thuram and Buffon. These 3 players went on to recreate the bond and defensive compactness they were linked to at Parma. Although life in the Champions League wasn't great for Juventus, as they got eliminated in the quarter-finals in 2 consecutive seasons. They ended up at the top of the table in the Champions League in 2005 and 2006. Before winning the league with Juventus, Cannavaro also won a couple of personal awards. Life in Juve was great. However, it didn't last as long as Fabio Cannavaro would have hoped for. The team didn't get out of form. However, after the 2006 World Cup, Juventus got into some trouble with the authorities and ended up getting relegated. This was a defining moment for Cannavaro. He was at a crossroads. He had to choose between being loyal to Juventus and continuing with them in the Serie B or moving to a different club. Well, he weighed his options and decided the latter was better, moving to Spain. Cannavaro's move away from Juventus didn't go down well with lots of fans. They considered him disloyal, but he made it clear that he chose to walk away from the team because he wanted to play Champions League football. In 2006, Cannavaro and Fabio Capello moved from Turin to the Spanish capital, where they signed for Real Madrid. After signing for Madrid, he picked up the number 5 jersey, which was previously worn by Zidane. Life in Spain was different from Italy. The style of play was different. In Italy, a pass was sent into space. However, in Spain, it was sent straight to the player's feet. Cannavaro experienced this firsthand with Sergio Ramos. He had passed the ball to Ramos, who asked, "Why did you make a mistake?" "No mistake, I gave you the ball," Cannavaro responded. Ramos went on to say, "No, you need to give me a strong pass, and you need to give it at my feet." Cannavaro probably never planned to play outside Italy. Nonetheless, his time spent in Madrid was very successful. He was in the Spanish capital between 2006 and 2009, and was able to win 2 La Liga titles. After his contract with Real Madrid ended, Cannavaro returned to Italy. Interestingly, he didn't just return to Italy, he was back in Turin. It was all work for him, but Juve fans didn't see things from his perspective. After returning to Juventus, Cannavaro had a great first season. However, just like his first stint with the old ladies, the good time he was looking to have with Juventus did not last long. After his return to Juventus, things went south with his team, and he couldn't do a lot for them. Juventus were struggling with their form, but they were not the only ones. Cannavaro got injured, and with this, he began struggling with his form. In the 2009 to 2010 season, the old ladies didn't make it out of the group stage of the Champions League. They were third in the group, so they had to play in the Europa Cup. Cannavaro already had a bad relationship with Juve fans. He was looking to rebuild this relationship. However, he was unsuccessful. Well, things could have remained at the level they were. Sadly, they got worse. The straw that broke the camel's back. Juve was playing in the Europa Cup and didn't exhibit their dominance even though some of the teams they had to play were below their level. In March 2010, the old ladies were at Fulham. They had already won the first game by 3-1, and they were looking forward to the next stage of this competition. However, they failed to qualify. So, what happened? Juventus lost this match by 4-1. Cannavaro had gotten 2 yellow cards in the first half, and subsequently got sent off. Of course, it wasn't his intention to be sent off. His actions ended up costing his team the match. Getting out of the Champions League and then the Europa Cup was a terrible thing for Juve fans. But that wasn't all. They also got knocked out of the Coppa Italia in the quarter-finals. At this point, Juventus were at a very low point in the season. However, they were not there just yet. Things got even worse when the league ended, and they finished the league in 7th place. Although for some teams, a 7th place finish in the league wasn't bad, for Juventus it was unacceptable. Finishing in 7th place was the worst thing that had happened to Juventus in a decade. Although it wasn't Cannavaro's fault, his inconsistency played a major role in Juventus's bad performance. So after this, his contract expired. He was free to go. Football outside Europe. Juventus was not willing to renew Cannavaro's contract, and most players in his position would probably go back to the team they played for as young boys. However, that wasn't the case with Cannavaro. You see, his form was so bad that even Napoli didn't think bringing him back on board was a good idea. Since no club in Europe was willing to have Cannavaro on their team, he had to look for a club outside Europe. He finally ended up playing for El Ahly. El Ahly was not in the plan. But after the 2010 World Cup, it appeared that the only club that was willing to sign Cannavaro was in the UAE. He joined the club on a free transfer and put pen to paper on a 2-year deal. Cannavaro was able to make 16 appearances for this club and net twice. Sadly, he didn't go on to the end of his contract. Cannavaro decided to hang up his boots in July 2011, after doctors made it clear to him that he couldn't go on. After leaving El Ahly, it didn't seem like Cannavaro was making a return to football. Well, he shocked the world when there were reports of him getting back into the game. This was unbelievable. However, word on the street had it that he was getting ready to play for Siliguri in the Indian League. The team paid $830,000 for the Italian legend. Sadly, this plan never came to fruition, so he had to remain retired. Personal life. Cannavaro might be the only popular player in his family, but he is not the only football player. His brother also played professional football. He played as a defender for Sassuolo Parma and Napoli. Sadly, he never really got to make his mark outside of Italy. Cannavaro is married to Daniela Arenoso. They got married in 1996 and have 3 children. They are Christian, Andrea, and Martina. His first son, Christian, played football for a while before retiring in 2018. He played in Benevento. Although Cannavaro had a great career, he wasn't free from controversy. One of the biggest controversies he got involved in was in 1999, just before the UEFA Cup final. He was seen on tape injecting a substance. Some dust was raised because of this video. However, the substance he was injecting wasn't banned. It is a substance that keeps the heart protected during prolonged stress and comes in handy for cardiac surgery. Well, Cannavaro did not get into any trouble because of this video. However, about a decade later, he was in trouble again. He failed a drug test on October 8, 2009. This could have ended his career. But Juventus stepped in and claimed he took the drug because of an allergy to the sting of a wasp. While it was believed that he took this drug to enhance his performance, Juventus was able to prove he wasn't trying to cheat, so the charges against him were dropped. It is easy to forget about all that Cannavaro has done because he has played as a defender. But if there is one defender who has achieved what some of your favorite attackers might never be able to achieve, Cannavaro is that player. As much as Cannavaro will always be considered one of the greatest defenders of all time, he never won the Champions League. So a modern player like Sergio Ramos, who has won the Champions League several times as well as the World Cup, will always be rated higher.